Economically, it's looking very bad on the 5th Saturday before Christmas. And we've got to imagine, like, if we all behave ourselves, then Sturgeon will let us back out on the 11th, and on the Saturday the 12th we can all come back and shop again, like we're dogs being trained with sweeties, that if we do something we get a sweetie back, and if we don't do it properly we don't get any sweeties. And if she locks us down again, no doubt she'll blame us for walking down Buchanan Street. We shouldn't be tolerating this from our politicians. Our freedoms are being removed. And I don't say that lightly. I was watching a video. I was watching a video yesterday of a man being put into the back of a police van for speaking in Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. Hyde Park Speaker's Corner is the centre of the symbol of free speech. It's the symbol of free speech in the United Kingdom, Speaker's Corner. And if you try to speak now at Speaker's Corner, the police will literally bundle you into the back of a van. That's under a Conservative government that is meant to stand for freedom of speech. Somebody said to me, our freedoms are not being undermined, our freedoms are being removed in front of our faces. And we know that this is the case. And we know here in Scotland it's going to be especially bad because we have an executive that wants to criminalise freedom of speech in our own home. But on top of that, they're removing freedom of assembly. Freedom of assembly in our own homes, and freedom of travel, of course. They want to try to discourage us and stop us from travelling even over the Scotland-England line, and that's an attempt to establish a border in fact and in law as well as in fact. So we're losing these things. We are losing these things, and we have to stand up for them. And the first thing that we do is articulate a defence of them, which is what we're doing here right now. We're articulating our human right to life and liberty of speech and assembly and travel, and the right to pursue happiness and mental health, as well as our right to pursue just a normal life. So what can we do? And that's what I'm going to end on, is what can we do here? Davey says, it's a sorry sight to see Glasgow city centre like this. I've walked down the streets many a time. COVID is a smokescreen. Well, the longer it goes on, the more people wonder just what is in fact the agenda, because on the face of it, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Derek says, lockdown 1 didn't work. What makes them think lockdown 2 will work? What's next? 3, 4, of course. And this is the way this is the thing. This is COVID-19, which is came from 2019. What happens in COVID-21? What happens if there's a COVID-22? What happens if there's a COVID-23? Are we meant to respond by lockdowns all the time? We cannot respond by lockdowns all the time. That's why lockdown is not a sustainable strategy, and it cannot be used like this. And politicians need to point that out. So what could we do? The first thing is to try to clear our mind and to be careful about what comes into our mind. And in that regard, you have to question mainstream media, and in some cases you have to simply not watch it or listen to it at all, because it's almost like it's experienced by some people as a form of psychological assault. But the good news is that for the time being there are other channels. We've found a lot of good articles on a website called conservativewoman.co.uk, which is talking about this from a very sceptical angle. Talk Radio, which broadcasts on YouTube, is very good. It interviews a lot of lockdown skeptics. As far as newspapers go, the Daily Telegraph is the best one for sceptical articles on COVID. So just choose the mainstream media that you watch and try to get more information from alternative sources. And in that regard, please do feel free to share this material as well. The second thing we can do is not to use false frames. Don't go into the Sturgeon's lockdown is better than Boris's, or Boris's lockdown is better than Sturgeon's. That's just playing party politics, and it's just compounding the problem. It's not making any worse, because it's built upon a mistake. It's built upon the idea that a lockdown is a good thing in the first place, when in fact it is not. So don't get involved in false framing. And so many people do that, and they do it just for partisan reasons or for party political reasons. Don't play the my lockdown's better than your lockdown, or if she had locked down Glasgow a month ago, we wouldn't have had to get locked down this time, or whatever. That's all just wrong, because lockdown is wrong in the first place. So don't use false frames. Lockdown as a response to a virus is a mistake in the first place. And the third thing, because I mean, if you believe that it's a legitimate response, if you believe lockdown is a legitimate response, then we're going to have to lock down for everything that occurs herein ever after. And you're accepting that the government has this power over us and has a right to do this. We're saying the government does not have a right to do this. Yes, don't try to make party political advantage of it. Fourthly, this comes down to, in many ways, and this is more philosophical, our modern inability, it seems, for many people to deal with risk and to deal with the fear of death, which is a kind of, it's been with us obviously since man began, but it's particularly more these days. You know, even just a few years ago, there was much more death around us every day. Today we live in a society where maybe there's far greater fear of risk. You know, it's not who dares wins, it's let's all hide under the bed, like Boris Johnson. And I'm not taking party political advantage of that, because I don't care either way who is the government of the United Kingdom. If they're doing something silly like that, they need to be called out. Okay, he needs to lead the country, he needs to set an example, not hide under his bed. He needs to at least keep calm and carry on. And so, yeah, we need to, deal with risk, know that it's an ever-present part of life. Fifthly, do check out the Great Barrington Declaration, and please do sign it if you can. That's just common sense, a common sense policy that's been put together by some top virologists and scientists and leaders in their field. That's the Great Barrington Declaration. And finally, folk, just stay as healthy as you can, as healthy mentally and physically as you can. Get your exercise, eat well, get your vitamins and minerals, keep your body up, because we are under attack. It feels like humans are under attack at the moment. So just stay strong and fight it. And of course, there's the administration here in Scotland is doing everything it can to make it difficult for us to exercise. If you're an old person, you can't even play golf anymore. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You can't play golf. Oh, my goodness me. Was there ever a more socially distant sport than golf? And lots of old people play it. And now they can't even do that. So we are under attack in that sense. It feels like it. It feels that common sense is becoming a fringe ideology here in Scotland. Well, we have to turn that around. We have to turn that around. Richard says the scourge of fear is used to have greater control over everyone. That's right. What sort of government tries to run a country through fear? If your government, whether the Scottish administration or the British government, is using fear to control us, what does that say about them? What does that say about how far those politicians have fallen in their duty to their fellow man and woman?